So I didn't actually buy the Roma tomatoes from Superstore this year. I bought their mamas from Superstore last year. And I grew these tomatoes in this. So what I'd done, I probably showed you earlier this year, I just took a cardboard insert and I cut it, just scrap cardboard. And I cut a slit and I put it in there, and so I divided, so each one of this sort of container was 4 plants, and this worked out better than any of my other pots. This is awesome, but I mean, you can see how flimsy it is. It only lasted the 1 season, but that's okay because now it's going in the recycling, and that's fine because it would have went there anyway. So anyway, I had made little tiny tags for my Romas, but they were too small for in the garden. They were fine for in the little pots, but I found these tags from last year, and so I stuck them in. And so I have the same number of Roma tomatoes that I've decided to plant this year, somehow, just by luck, that I had last year. So now I have just the right amount of tags, which is just funny. So you can see that I've kind of covered up my soaker hose a little bit with soil while I was planting them. You can see I have peas in here. I have a couple rows of peas, and I've decided to put the tomatoes right beside, because what happened is I had things like these, you can see these Asian greens, they got chewed on by some sort of insect, and I had a couple rows of this, and I thought, well, that doesn't look like that's going to do a whole lot this year with, so, and I had some other green rows that I decided, well, it doesn't look like that's going to do anything, so I've plunked in some tomatoes close to the soaker hose there, and close to the peas, which that'll be great because the peas fix nitrogen and they'll help the tomatoes grow big and strong. And anyway, I have to put more soaker hoses because I didn't have enough, and I might have stepped on him today. I gave him a little bit of water because I felt so sorry for him. But you can see that my other greens are coming up. There's another one there in amongst the weeds that I have to get the weeds out from around it. But boy, I love that. That looks so pretty. And I love seeing things that are actually growing. But one thing, when you're growing like a mixed sort of thing, like there's a lot of weeds in here, which is frustrating. But see, the spinach, this is coming up, and it's an early crop, right? So once the spinach is gone, like if I were to, I was thinking, how can I really make better use of this space? Because I have the tomatoes here, I know that it'll be dry here, so I have the bachelor's buttons, and there are some carrots right by the soaker hose, but they'll be fine there with the poppies. But the bachelor's buttons like it dry, and they'll be fine. And over here, the borage likes it dry. It'll do fine with the dry. But right near the soaker hose, I have the tomatoes, and this year I've really done 2 rows for each soaker hose. So you can see, I'll just step over here, there's a tomato here, and then there's one that's using that stake. It'll use that stake this year, and then there's one there, and so I've stagger planted them and then laid the soaker hose between, right? So then I that was pretty easy to do, and now I don't have to worry about stepping on the soaker hose because it's in between the hoops, so it's totally safe. And but then I was thinking, well, how could I make better use of this? Because I have the walkways, which I really won't need until it's time to harvest the tomatoes, and they're not going to be ready to harvest for a while. So I was thinking next year what I should do is plant spinach all along the walkways. So everywhere where there's a walkway, there will be spinach next year. I think that's a good idea. And then, I mean, I harvest it, and then I have rows again, which, big deal. That's great. And so I think it'll work out well.